cracking, ladies and gentlemen? 49 coming at you another community shoutcast for the USA Dota League Season 1. Just loading into game number 1 of Felffie and Friends up against Team SciCos. And joining me for tonight will be my co-coaster, HoR.kin.killa, captain and mid player for the team Horseman of the Ruckus. He's going to be casting from the in-game client, so we won't hear him until we load back into the game. So I don't think I've casted SciCos before. For this series, they're actually playing with 3 standards. The captain's currently in a lab, and they really need to get their series done before the weekend. And so Felffie and Friends have agreed to let them play with an additional standard. All the standards have had their names marked out. And so, HoR.kin.killa, you loaded in?
Yeah, buddy.
How you doing, man?
Yeah, real good, eh?
Oh, pretty dark and gloomy day, but I guess we're just gonna watch some Dota. Alright,
yeah,
so...
should be pretty interesting.
Team SciCos, they have their first picks. They've gone for the first pick, first ban, Ember Spirit. Pretty standard. What are your thoughts on the hero there, Jesse?
He's way overpowered at the moment. He's the best first ban you could think of.
I wouldn't say he's overpowered, I'd say he's strong, but what makes you think he's overpowered?
His ability to dodge any fight pretty much, with his, as long as you're not an idiot and you've got your ulti prepared.
Yeah, that's true. But, I mean, you guys have shown off that you aren't afraid of Ember Spirit. You counterpicked him with the Viper, and just completely destroyed him in lane.
Radiant team pick.
Yeah, I think that was a combination of him not having as much skill in mid as myself, and... yeah.
Hashtag humble brag.
Yeah.
Too easy for HoR.kin.killa. So,
Felffie and Friends did a good ban there with Lone Druid. I know Corvette, it's one of his best heroes.
I see. So it's the respect, but I know TYK, that's another team that also likes to run the Lone Druid.
10
Tandy's one of the plays for them. And so Lone Druid and Clockwork, both pretty standard bans. And Nature's
5
Prophet.
seconds remaining.
It's interesting to note that they actually have their stand-in acting as drafter for Team
Reserve
SciCos.
time.
The captain's in the lab, so he's unable to play for this series. Could be interesting if it has an effect. Yeah. I haven't actually seen SciCos play. If you could characterize their playstyle, what do you think the sort of lineup they go for usually?
When we played them, they were going for a sort of strong tank, sort of team fight-esque, although they really lacked stuns when they versed us, which was their downfall. Ah,
right, I see, because then you could pick those high mobility heroes and just make them pay for it.
Yeah, rocking heroes like Bristleback, Necrophos.
Necrophos has been picked up a few times in the ODL 1. He hasn't been effective at all. I think he's got a 0% win rate so far. They've gone with the Ancient Apparition first pick. Pretty strong pickup, second king of the tri-lane just because of that chilling touch.
Yeah, great pick. Very good in the new meta.
Yeah, it used to be that you'd pick him up and send him mid back at TI1 when there weren't ultimately mid heroes. Then once Ice Vortex became the next big thing, and now it's the Chilling Touch. So the two builds that people go for AA in the competitive scene is either max out Chilling Touch for that tri-lane AoE damage, or max out the Ice Vortex.
5 seconds remaining.
That's a great pick. Visage.
Yeah, Felffie and Friends immediately punishing the AA pickup with the Visage. I suppose both of them offer the same amount of offensive capability, neither of them are defensive heroes. Visage doesn't have any CC of his own, and Ancient Apparition's Cold Feet only is reliable if you have another ability to help set it up. And so from the look of it, he'll most likely be maxing out that Chilling Touch.
Disruptor!
And Disruptor, so very standard first 2 picks coming up from Felffie and Friends. They're one of the only teams I know that actually first pick Disruptor. They're very confident in that hero. They use him as the basis of their tri-lane, and that's just because of the power of the Glimpse.
Yeah, very tough tri-lane to come up against when you're running a Disruptor and a Visage.
The instant one of your heroes moves slightly out of position, he gets glimpsed back, and the fight just ends in their favor.
Yeah, I'd really like to see something like a Sven from Felffie.
Radiant team
Sven? What makes you think Sven in this combination? I was thinking more like a Mirana.
Oh, I mean, it's the hard carry, just because you need a stunning strength carry, I think, if you want to come up against, you know, an AA or a Slark.
That's true. And it does give you that reliable form of CC, because you've got the dumb stun coming up from Sven. You throw it, you fire and forget. Visage can then follow up with the Grave Chill, and Disruptor can land kinetic field. And so Slark picked up by SciCos.
Team ban.
Kinda interesting to note. Neither team choosing to ban or pick up the Slark, considering how strong he is. I mean, I know Team Blink, they actually don't like to play against Slark at all. They've played against him twice so far, but both times the Slark pickup wasn't too effective because he made a few mistakes in the skill build or item build. So any thoughts on the Venomancer and the Doom ban coming out?
Pretty standard at the moment. It's just going to be interesting to see how they counterpick the Slark.
Yeah, there are a few unconventional heroes that counter Slark really well. I know Axe is one of them just because you can use Berserker's Call while using Shadow Dance. That forces him to waste a lot of his duration.
5 seconds remaining.
I'd be very impressed if they picked a Bloodseeker.
Yeah, Bloodseeker is another hero that counters him pretty well just because of Thirst. Does Thirst actually give vision during Shadow Dance, or is it when he pops it, or is Shadow Dance just make him completely invisible?
Completely invisible, but at the same time, if he's ever below, you know, what, 58% HP, he doesn't get any of his regen.
Yeah, that really cripples him. If he goes for a Shadow Blade, they could completely negate that. And so we see Weaver banned out, once again, very standard ban, especially with an Ancient Apparition. Geminate Attack and Sakuchi in conjunction with Chilling Touch is just so painful to go up against.
Remaining. Radiant team pick.
So Felffie and Friends going with the Lycan as their tri-lane hero. I've noticed you guys haven't actually picked up Lycan so far.
Dire team pick.
Is that more of a player thing or a draft thing?
Oh, we're saving it. We're saving it for Dumbledore for, you know, a harder round of games.
I see how it is. Really strong hero, that deathball push coming up. Yeah, I know you guys like to run the Wraith King as your tri-lane farmer with Dumbledore playing him. That's always been real fun to watch, just because it's such an unconventional hero. You don't see all too much of Skeleton King, sorry, just because he does have a lot of very simple counters, but at the same time he offers a lot to your team.
Yeah, ever since his ulti was buffed to a slow, he's just been such a great pick.
Yeah, because then you're stuck in the damned if you do, damned if you don't, especially if you go for Dumbledore's build, which is the phase, drums into the S and Y. Just gives you so much chasing power that you can't run away from him. Because Skeleton King's biggest weakness is the fact that you can't just kite him around. He's a slow dude with a sword. Outside of his stun, he's got nowhere to lock you in place.
Interesting pick here of the Nyx Assassin. I know that Watts is a very good Nyx.
So do you think it would be an offlane Nyx Assassin or a mid Nyx Assassin? Because I know he can do both equally well, but it probably could be the Slark in the mid lane.
I feel like their offlane is almost going to be a sacrificial lamb.
Yeah, that's usually the case. Hey, what are your opinions on Slark in laning situations? I know you guys like to exclusively run him just as the mid hero.
Yeah, I'd say they're safe or mid, but I think this game they're going to run him safe because combined with AA, he's unstoppable.
That's another thing to keep in mind. Pounce does set up Cold Feet, and the Chilling Touch enables Slark to hurt like hell when he's getting those right clicks in.
Exactly, it's a great combo.
Radiant.
Dragon Knight picked up mid, so we could be seeing a Slark mid as he does beat Dragon Knight in the 1v1 matchup. Just because as a melee hero, it's easy for Slark to get free hits in to proc that Essence Shift. As well as the fact that you could always use your Dark Pact to be able to purge off Dragon Knight's stun. It's pretty obvious when Dragon Knight goes in for a stun. Either he pops his EDF, he's going for the range form, or he runs up to you. As long as you have your finger over the Q, you should be fine.
Yeah, I'm interested to see whether or not they're going to run an OD. Nope, Timber.
Works just as well, especially when you consider that Visage, Lycan, and Dragon Knight all are essentially food for Timbersaw. Visage with his 15% magic resistance and 0 armor falls apart to Timbersaw's pure damage. Disruptor can't actually do anything to him outside of Glimpse. Lycan can run around him with that shapeshift, but Dragon Knight and Lycan, being strength heroes, they do lose a lot of HP every time he throws out that Welling Death.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, it's interesting pick up the Timbersaw because if they're going to run him off lane, he is just going to be food for Disruptor.
Yeah, that's the thing to keep in mind. Timbersaw, he's one of those offlanes that can't go 1v3 or 1v2. He can do 1v2 in a few matchups, but it's pretty difficult for him. You usually want to go 1v1 because you do need a decent amount of gold as well as EXP on Timbersaw before he starts to pick up steam. Gyrocopter is a ban. That's very interesting.
Doesn't seem necessary, but
yeah, I guess they could go for a tri-lane Nyx Assassin, but he does lose a lot of his potency though. SciCos delivering their 5th ban. Who do you reckon they should ban out in this case? Because I mean, I know their lane's already set in stone. All they need is an offlaner.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I would say
Reserve time.
If they banned a Darkseer, it would probably be a good. Oh, Darkseer's already banned. Don't worry. Yeah, there's the bounty.
Dire team pick.
Good ban.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how Bounty fares against Timbersaw. It is very easy for Timbersaw to zone out melee offlaners. So that means that the Bristleback and the Centaur Warrunner, both also very strong pickups in the offlane, do fall apart to Timbersaw. Just because he gets the harassment as well as the pushing capability with his Q.
Centaur would be a very strong pickup for Felffie and Friends.
Yeah, because they need that form of, I guess, team fight and chasing capabilities. Lycan already has max move speed, so having Stampede over to Dragon Knight as well as the Visage is absolutely
5 seconds
terrifying.
remaining.
I noticed that you guys are the only team that actually run
Reserve
Centaur
time.
Warrunner in a tri-lane as an aggressive hero instead of over in the offlane. What's the rationale behind that?
Oh, he's extremely strong.
10 seconds
stun,
remaining.
And Double Edge is just unfair amounts of damage.
Radiant
in the
team
game.
pick.
I think in the offlane, if they're running anything that can stop him or pull him back, he's just food.
But at the same time, the fact that he's a melee hero with a melee range stun in a tri-lane situation does make him a bit difficult to use sometimes, because he does have to run up to them, and you've got 3 heroes, you increase the chances that one of them can stun or slow you before you get in position.
Yeah, that's true. I normally just pick him up because
10 seconds
he has
remaining.
his ulti mostly. He's just a damaging.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, press R, it's 3 kills raining down on you. So we've got the Mirana pickup, so Mirana going 1v1
Reserve
up against
time.
the Timbersaw most likely. Would have to give the advantage over to the Timbersaw.
Mirana pick up against the Slark is always very scary because if you mistime your leap at all, you're fucked.
Yeah, that's definitely true. The Moonlight Shadow is also an incredibly powerful ability. We'll see how onto it SciCos support players are, as if you don't always carry Sentries and Dust the instant you start team fighting against the Mirana, you're in for a bad time. Moonlight Shadow gives her team so much space.
Yeah, great combination with the Dragon Knight as well. Might just save him 3,000 gold on that Shadow Blade.
Yeah, that's also true. Shadowblade is a great pickup on Dragon Knight, has fallen off a bit lately. We see recently with, I think Felffie and Friends, the last time they had Play Laugh Grow Play Dragon Knight, he just rushed the BKB. And once again, the Necrophos. So is this going to be a tri-lane Necrophos? Because I don't know how effective that's going to be.
He's a powerful hero, but without farm, he's just going to be another piece of food.
Yeah, there's no doubt about the fact that he's an incredibly powerful hero, but he needs so much farm and so many levels before he really starts to pick off. He's a very greedy pickup. Just going to quickly log out of Steam as I've noticed all these players are jumping online. And so road to 2.5k MMR, up on that Visage again. Been playing a fantastic Visage in the series yesterday, up against Felffie and Friends are playing against See and Believe. His Familiar micro was a little bit off. He did feed his Familiars a few
10
times,
seconds
but
remaining.
still was able to pick up something like a 20-minute Aghanim Scepter. Really helped create space for his team and help ensure those team fights.
5 seconds remaining.
So just going to introduce the players over from both teams. So we've got a quick tactical pause coming up from Ancient Apparition. And so over on Felffie and Friends, we've got Felffie's friend, their captain, playing up on that Disruptor. Road to 2.5k MMR up on the Visage. AO, the offlane player, up on the Mirana. Felffie, carry player for their team, up on the tri-lane Lycan. And Play Laugh Grow over on Dragon Knight. Very standard draft coming up from them. Over for Team SciCos, we've got the standard Corvette, who's playing as the Ancient Apparition. Watts, who's playing the Slark. Tentacles up on the Necrophos 2001. Playing over on the Timbersaw, and Fit CSA up on the Nyx Assassin. And so they're just quickly resetting their hotkeys. We've got a tactical pause coming up from them. If they do decide to clash Tri-V, do you reckon they're going to try to clash Tri-V Tri, or do you think they're going to try to dodge the tri-lane?
I think that if I was SciCos, I'd be running an aggressive try with the Slark, Nyx, and the AA. I'd be farming Necro in the safe lane against Potom, and then Timber to go mid.
Yeah, that's actually quite a powerful lane situation. You see, Timbersaw's actually chosen to go for Timber Chain at level 1. What are your thoughts on this?
It depends where he's heading, because if he's heading into the off lane, it's maybe acceptable, but anywhere else, what's the point?
Yeah, I've always found, especially with Timbersaw in offlane, just because at level 1, that's the weakest you are in any stage of the game. You should always hold on to your skill point, just to see what you're up against. Because the issue with Timbersaw is he's got 0 armor, he's entirely reliant on the Stout Shield as well as the reactive armor to give him lane sustainability. And so that point up in Timber Chain could actually prove to be quite effective if he's up against a particular lineup. So So it looks like a mid
30
Slark,
seconds to battle.
Nyx Assassin and Timbersaw hitting a top. So we're going to be seeing a dual lane from this, or is he just hanging around?
Looks like it could be. I don't see the point of comboing an AA with the Necro.
Yeah, 2-1-2 isn't usually all too effective. You only want to do that sort of thing if you've got a very strong defensive duo, such as the Dirge, and maybe someone like an Abaddon.
Yeah, even like a Dirge Lich or...
The battle begins.
So, wow. SciCos coming with a very unconventional laning situation. This is almost like a pod game.
There goes the leap from Slark. Just didn't want to miss his block.
Yeah, just a casual jump over the creeps. Maybe he's practicing his hurdling. Play Laughter accidentally screwing up the creep block, so it looks like Slark's leap was fortuitous. We see that Dragon Knight actually chose to go for a Stout Shield, so I guess he assumed you'd be up against maybe the Necrophos mid?
Yeah, quite smart them running Nyx and Timbersaw together in the off lane. But it just gives their safe lane nothing to work with.
What makes you think it's good to have the Nyx Assassin and the Timbersaw together?
Because as soon as the Disruptor glimpses one person, if they glimpse the Timber, you're going to get stunned by a Nyx. And if they glimpse the Nyx, then the Timber's just going to have free reign to roam on you.
Ah, I see. But the drawback to that, of course, is the fact that Timbersaw has to share the EXP, and so he will hit his level 6 at a later time. That chakram is so important to Timbersaw and his ganking potential. Gotcha. And we've already got a pounce happening on Dragon Knight, taking a lot of damage. Slark having an absolute ball of the time. You see that point up in Essence Shift? Play Laughter actually taking a lot of damage there.
Yeah, definitely one level in Essence Shift early for a mid Slark is a great move.
Yeah, especially against another melee hero. It's just so difficult to stay in lane against that kind of harassment. That Stout Shield actually doing a lot of work there. Was surprised with the Stout Shield pickup, but I guess if he knew he was up against a Slark, it does provide that extra bit of survivability. It looks like Bottle already up on Slark. Over in the bottom lane, Mirana's having a pretty good time. She knows that they can't actually go for a kill attempt on her unless she misplays. So the point up in the arrow and in the leap, she should be fine.
Yeah, we're seeing a very ineffective roam from Nyx. Just leeching a bit of XP.
Yeah, could have come in from the high ground, maybe try to catch Dragon Knight out of position, because he doesn't have any points up in his Dragon Tail at the moment. Going for 2 points on Breathe Fire, 1 in the Dragon's Blood. Very conventional Dragon Knight build. You usually don't need your stun at the early stages of the game, just because you use Breathe Fire to control the lane, and the Dragon Blood just gives you a bit more survivability. I guess they feel confident in leaving the Timbersaw alone. Looks like Nyx Assassin is transitioning over to the bot lane. So very strange lanes coming up from SciCos. Visage actually taking 2 tower hits, does a lot of damage to him with 0 armor. Ayo wisely backing away. What do you reckon First Blood's most likely to happen with this kind of static situation at the moment?
Oh, I think it's going to be another 3 or so minutes before we see a First Blood, and it's going to be against the Timbersaw.
Really? Not the mid? I think the Slark might be able to catch out Play Laugh Grow if he overplays, or the other way around. Actually, he could go for a Breathe Fire and kill him off right now. Yeah, that looks like First Blood.
Wow, that was terrible.
Dragon.
Yeah, huge misplays coming up from the Slark. He overcommitted. They're up against the Dragon Knight, not respecting the power of that Breathe Fire. There's a reason why he goes mid. That spell gives him so much lane control. Impale misses from the Nyx Assassin. Ayo just wisely sidesteps.
You have no right.
Yeah, this defensive try is so ineffective against the Mirana.
Yeah, Mirana's a hero that's hard enough to kill with an aggressive tri-lane just because of that leap. With a defensive tri-lane that doesn't have any real form of being able to lock it down. Can be difficult.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Play Laugh Grow with that regeneration rune bottled up. He's having a good time now. Able to rest back control from the Slark. Although Slark is beating him in CS, Play Laugh Grow, this seems to happen to him a lot. In the series up against CM Believe, he was being heavily outlaned by CM Believe's Dream. But once the laning phase ended, he was able to rotate, create space for his team. So even though he's not the best 1v1 laner in terms of CS, he still is able to control the tempo of the game, which is what the mid player should be doing. coming out from the Necrophos, 1 point up in all of his abilities. Kind of interesting. I would like to see him disregard Heartstopper Aura in exchange for maxing out status as soon as possible, especially as a farming Necrophos, just because it gives you such intensely high flash farming capability, as well as sustainability in team fights with your Reaper Scythe, as well as the recent change so that if a hero dies during the 2-second duration of Reaper Scythe, you're credited with the kill. If you get credited with the kill, actually, while this is happening, Timbersaw called out, he's TPing back home with no CC. The Soul Assumption actually picks him off.
There it goes, the classic combo.
Yeah. Almost would have made it out with that TP, but the Soul Assumption just seals the deal. Next Assassin Hanger on the side, going in on the Mirana, but that Impale's so easy to dodge with the leap. Never mind, he tanks it to the face. But there's no killing power coming out from Necrophos. You can throw out a Death Pulse and a few right clicks, and that's about it. You don't have that burst damage coming out. Ancient Apparition down the top lane, just leeches some EXP. Looks like he went for 2 points in stats and 2 points up in Cold Feet. This is a Dendy TI1 build.
Very ugly in my opinion. Without Chilling Touch, he's just so ineffective.
Yeah, this is the build that only worked in TI1 mid, just because his other abilities weren't all too great back then. Ice Vortex and Chilling Touch were significantly buffed since TI1. So this is a highly outdated build, especially when you know that you're not going to be getting the levels as well. The fact that you don't have any points in your other abilities, and Dragon Tail flies over in Slark. He's going to pop the Breathe Fire, but he should be okay.
Yeah, he just needs that XP for level 6 and he's going to have a lot easier time in the lane.
Yeah, that Shadow Dance makes Slark such a pain in the ass to deal with. But Dragon Knight severely out-leveling Slark, a level and a bit.
The Dire's top tower is doing its best, but it doesn't look
Over on
good.
top lane, Grave Chill over on Tentacles. Timberchain misses Welling Death, heads on road to 2.5 KMMR. He runs away. There's no way he can hold him in place for that Cold Feet. Very surprised he chose to max that as his primary ability, considering that he doesn't have a setup ability to ensure that it lands. Cold Feet without the stun is just a pretty bad damage over time spell. What would you like the Dragon Knight to go for, since he's having such a good time? I mean, while that happens, he actually gets caught up in the pounce, turns around Dragon Tails. Wow, while that happened, Ancient Apparition actually caught out. Soul Assumption flies on Timbersaw, just a bit of a fuck you, Nick.
I really like that they've swapped the Nyx to the AA. These are much better dual lanes.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Invisibility rune up on Slark. Looks like it could potentially be a gank attempt on Play Last Throw. He doesn't actually have any mana right now, so if Slark catches him out in the pounce, he could actually bring him down. While that's happening, Felffie grouping up for that deathball push. He's starting to beat down the tower. Looks like he's going for the Vladimir's Offering as his first item. Slark turning around on Dragon Knight, sees him drop that ward, gets a few procs of that Essence Shift. Wolf comes in, provide a bit of backup. Pounce catches, but he's in tower range now. Uses the Dark Pact to purge it off. Pops his Shadow Dance. That's a wasted level 1 Shadow Dance. Playloft goes in the back away. Felffie's friends hanging around. He glimpses him back. This could potentially be a kill for Slark. Never mind. Disruptor's been taking a lot of damage from that pounce and from that creep.
Dire's middle tower
And
is all
Slark
alone
backs
in the
away.
world,
He's on the hunt for
being
Felffie's
attacked.
friend.
Oh, he's on the hunt.
Yeah, and it looks like that's a kill. That's a free kill. He gets the pounce. And actually a disconnect from Necrophos. A quick pause coming out from SciCos. Bit unfortunate. Disruptor can't really do all too much against Slark.
Can you hear the background TV, or do I need to turn up my mic threshold?
No, I could hear it very quietly, but it's nothing too big. And so notice that the Necrophos actually is about 500 gold away from his mech. This is a huge deal. Once they pick up that mech on the Necrophos, they can actually group up, start going for fights. Would perhaps like to see level 6 up on Ancient Apparition as well, just to have that Ice Blast. But the fact that Visage actually doesn't have a mech or anything building towards it, neither do the Disruptor, does give him a significant teamfight advantage, considering the fact you also have the Death Pulse slow. Haste Rune bottled up by Slark, so he's going to look for a gank opportunity.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. It has no arms to defend itself.
Another disconnect coming up from Necrophos. Internet's being a little bit unstable. What do you think about...
Pre-10-minute mech is going to win the game, I think.
Yeah, what do you think about Timbersaw choosing the max out chain as his first ability?
It's acceptable. Everyone plays Timber differently, but I like Whirling Death personally.
Yeah, just because it gives you that more reliable source of damage. Having that Whirling Death, I guess.
To do pure damage is pretty unfair.
That's always true. But I definitely agree with your point with that pre-10-minute mech gonna win the game. I think it was EE Sum or Aoi 2000 talking about how in games it's a 70% chance of winning the game with the team that picks up a mech before the 10-minute mark, just because it gives them such a strong early game. And so it'll be interesting to see what SciCos decide to do with this. I guess if they do play passively and don't do anything with that mech, then that advantage is wasted. So Dota 2 is a game about momentum and small advantages, so they need to make the most of that advantage the instant they pick it up. A disconnect coming up from Necrophos right as he reconnects.
Third time lucky, yeah?
New Zealand internet, why do you do this to us? Well, that's
surprising how many levels the Mirana's managed to get over the early game try.
Yeah, she's actually level 7 up against a level 5 and 3/4 Necrophos. She's gonna hit level 6 with that catapult. But Mirana's been having a great game. She's got her ultimate up, so the Moonlight Shadow to assist in any other lane if they ever get into a bad situation. Going for the very conventional Mirana build, Phase Boots, maxing out the Starstorm with 1 point in the arrow. Probably the most efficient build, just because it gives you the most DPS, with Starstorm doing 525 damage if you land the double proc. As well as the fact that arrow, you can just keep 1 point in it. It's a great spell. The damage goes up, but the main reason why you go for it is the fact that it gives you the 5-second stun. And
yeah,
with
definitely. The chance of getting an extra starfall is just so worthwhile.
Definitely. Just gonna do a quick golden EXP check while we're sitting at the end of this pause. 2,000 EXP lead in favor of Felffie and Friends. And about 1,000 gold lead. The gold lead is mostly due to the kills, as well as the CS efficiency, as we see Lycan and Dragon Knight are leading the way, with Slark and Necrophos staying on the board for SciCos. But the EXP lead is much more important, just because of the fact that Visage and Disruptor will be able to have their ultimates up before the Ancient Apparition. And the Visage Familiars provide you so much power. Like you see right now, Timbersaw is level 5.5, he doesn't have his Chakram up, and Timbersaw without Chakram is a very sad ganker. He doesn't really have that burst damage potential to bring people down.
Definitely, and it's 8 minutes without mana boots. He's going to have a tough time.
Yeah, that's definitely the issue with Timbersaw. Sort of like a Storm Spirit, you need early levels and a reasonable amount of early gold before you can start picking up as a ganker, just because you do need the arcane boots to sustain your abilities, especially with the fact that Chakram now costs 100 mana at level 1. Huge chunk of your mana gone if you don't have arcane boots to sustain it. You see Nyx Assassin hanging around with the TP scroll in his inventory, so he's ready for any rotations they might be wanting to make. Slark going for the very conventional build, choosing to max out Dark Pact after Pounce with 1 point up in Essence Shift. A lot of Slark players, for whatever reason, choose to disregard Dark Pact and max out Essence Shift. Not a very efficient build, just because Dark Pact gives you so much damage, as well as reducing the cooldown, making it much more capable to help you dispel any debuffs or CC you have locked down on you.
Yeah, I occasionally get second level in Essence Shift at level 9, but that's purely down to your matchup. In this game, I don't think it would be intelligent.
So what matchups do you want to go for a second point up in Essence Shift?
Maybe an Invoker mid, or if you're running safe lane against the Bristleback, something like that. Right,
I see. I can understand the Bristleback just because you're leeching his stats, but why the Invoker?
I'm not 100% sure, it just seems to work out.
I see, it's just one of those things. So Necrophos is back online on Dota 2, so he should be back with us shortly. Lycan's got enough gold to finish off his Vladimir's offering. I've noticed that all the Lycans in the ODL 1, instead of going for the old school build, which is to get a Medallion Courage as soon as possible, they seem to go for Vladimir's as their first big item. What are your thoughts on this?
I think a lot of players just aren't used to using a Medallion of Courage. It's just it's quite a complex item, and it's just something that you only find at sort of 4K plus games, I find.
I see, because I've always found this a pretty simple item. You click it, you click on the enemy hero, he loses 7 armor. You beat him down. But I suppose...
If you're running a Visage with a Lycan, you only need 1. So the Visage should really be the one picking it up.
That's always true, yeah, that could be the reason. Great item pickup on Visage, just because Grave Shield gives you 64% attack speed, and the fact that your Familiars do actually a crap ton of physical DPS if they actually do get their shots off. And so with the Grave Chill to set it up, follow up with the Medallion of Courage, you can do a surprising amount of damage, I think. Dumble D from Horseman of the Ruckus. Last year he was telling me about how he used to run Visage mid and max out Grave Chill, get Medallion of Courage as his first item, just to beat on niggas. I always found that to be such a funny build. Hopefully Necrophos should be reconnecting back into the game at some point.
Yeah, having some pretty significant pauses in some of these recent games.
Yeah, didn't you guys have something like a 15-minute pause during your series yesterday? I remember Jamie walking out to the living room saying the game was paused.
Yeah, it was pretty painful. The player had to run from the netcaf to a friend's house, I believe.
Oh, he's not. So Bambi's not the only one that's had to do that, because I remember he had to do that in the series up against TYK. Something like a 20-minute pause while he frantically ran to his mate's place. Good sportsmanship coming up from both teams. Players just frantically scribbling on the map. Not an awful lot happening. We've got some pretty standard ward placement. Just one thing to note out is the fact that the Radiant actually have both sides of the river warded. You never want to do this. It's a waste of a ward. You always want to ward off one, but never both. Just because you could have used one of the other wards as a safety ward for your offlane hero. So placing it over here. Or if you want to be a bit more cheeky, over here. Provides you vision for any rotations coming out from the support players. Can save your offlaner.
The only time or place that I'd recommend it is for the Dire in this game, board both ends of the river, because it makes Slark rotations so pitifully slow.
That's actually a good point. However, the fact with Shadow Dance though, is if the support players are onto it, if Slark points it out to them, those wards can quickly be dewarded just because Slark Shadow Dance gives him that spidey sense, so he knows whenever someone has vision of him. And so if there's not a hero like a Bloodseeker in the game, you could assume, yeah, unless you're being charged by a Spirit Breaker, it has to be a ward. And most ward placements have been pretty vanilla.
I'd like to see some unconventional wards here.
Yeah, that's one thing you definitely have to keep in mind playing against a Slark. He makes your job so much more difficult as a support player, just because you don't want to feed away those wards.
Yeah, if the Dire were going to ward like here and maybe here, they might have a pretty good game.
Huh. Yeah, because I know for the Radiant side, placing a ward over here is actually a very strong defensive ward, because it gives you vision of any potential rotation into your jungle. So it's a great defensive ward, while still providing you vision over the bottom rune. Just gonna confirm. So I believe you guys are playing 2 series tomorrow night, huh?
Actually only one, because it was meant to be 2IP and Bambi Rising, but 2IP can't play tomorrow night, and we played one game against them last night.
Ah, I see.
So we'll be versing Bambi Rising hopefully early in the evening.
Yeah, Bambi Rising is a very strong team. Their captain, Bambi, Grandmaster StarCraft 2 player, very strong micro on him. His Visage plays are quite phenomenal. He keeps telling me he's going to run a support Meepo, but I think he doesn't have the confidence to quite go for that yet, so you never know, he could go for that unconventional pickup. And we've got a reconnection happening, the game resumes. He actually sent me a link today. It was Fnatic, game number 5 up against Alliance in the semifinals, and they actually went for a support Meepo pickup. Worked out very well for them, loaded on the anti-mage, couldn't go anywhere without one of the Meepos jumping him.
It may be an unpopular opinion, but I think Meepo's a great pickup in this meta.
Yeah, he's actually a lot stronger than a lot of people give him credit for. He's got 35% magic resistance. And the fact that you're going to have to build an Aghanim Scepter makes him very tanky.
Oh, two Meepos at level 3 as well, just ridiculous.
Yeah, you go for the skill build where you get 1 point up in poof, hold your skill point at level 2, when you hit level 3, you skill up Divided We Stand, and then get that 2nd point up in poof. 200 damage AoE nuke at level 3, nothing to sneeze at.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Run, little bottom tower, run!
Slark potentially wanted to go around on Dragon Knight, never mind. Just went for the creeps. Lycanthrope gets a 3 top tower.
Not so radiant
Limps back, Ancient Apparition, Shapeshift on him, Chakram flies out, it looks like Tentacles are gonna take a fall. Visage is taking a fall as well, he's frozen up, looks like it might be a trade, never mind. Turns around the Soul Assumption right before he gets killed off by the Timber Chain. Slark pounce and Dark Pack lands on Felffie. Looks like Lycan's gonna go down. Great play coming out from Slark. With that haste rune, this could be another one. Felffie's friend waddling away to safety, but with no abilities up, with no mana, he's gonna take a fall. Drops their kinetic field, Easter pounce to the face, and that's 2 kills coming out from Slark. Amazing rotation coming out from him.
Jesus, no Moonlight Shadow through the entire fight. That is disgraceful.
Yeah, what was the Mirana doing? She had mana for that as well. All she had to do was press R. Bit of miscommunication
Yeah,
perhaps
AFK
coming out.
running home.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Also, another thing to note, Dragon Knight wasn't able to push down the mid tower, placing any pressure on it as well. It's another reason why he's such a strong mid hero is the instant the other mid player
Radiant should
rotates,
really
you
do
just
something
press
about
R and
that
start
middle
beating on the
tower.
tower. Lycanthrope choosing to go for
We might
treads
see.
after the Vladimir's offering. This is something I tend to disagree with, just because Lycanthrope has so much damage coming up from Feral Impulse as well as Shapeshift, that you don't really need to upgrade your boots until later on. You want to get the Medallion of Courage as soon as possible so you can secure Roshan, and then you want to get your Necrophos because it's a timing specific item. The earlier you get it, the more powerful it is. Lycan actually choosing to forgo any points in Feral Impulse. I usually like to see 1 point up in it, just because 15% attack speed and base attack is a pretty significant deal, as it also transfers over to your wolves.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how early the Lycan runs Roshan attempts, because he could do it now, in my opinion.
Yeah, the Radiant side can't really stop it at the moment until they pick up... Mechanism's been picked up with Necrophos, but without the Ancient Apparition Ice Blast to scout it out. Arrow misses, but they're going for a gank attempt over Necrophos. Grave Chill, Starstorm lands. It's only one, however. Soul Assumption, the Thunderstrike, Mech Hands and pops, but the Disruptor, Thunderstrike gets the deal. You saw how hard Necrophos was to kill just with that
Radiant's
mechanism.
bottom tower has seen better days.
Now imagine doing that if they had the rest of the team there.
There. It's I think SciCos are desperate for level 6 on AA and Nyx, because at the moment they're not particularly effective.
Yeah. Slark coming in. We've got a quick pause coming out from Felffie's friend. Not too sure what's happening. Looks like Visage is having a few issues. He might actually get caught out with a pounce. Felffie's friend is hanging around. He's got a glimpse, so he's going to have to glimpse back to Slark immediately to save his Disruptor. AO has arrow. Actually, he threw it out earlier, so he's got that on cooldown. He's got the Moonlight Shadow though. Let's pray to God he drops it this time, because I don't think I see any dust or sentries, so that could easily be several kills that he can avert.
It'll be interesting to see if the Disruptor sends the Slark home, or if he's going to send the TPO home.
I would have to go with the Slark, just because Nyx Assassin isn't going to get in position to land off a stun while he's TPing in. So throw out that Disruption. Looks like he's actually in mid-cast animation. And then just run the hell away. You don't want to fight this. Not against the Slark.
I'll be right back, homie. Dinner's ready.
Alrighty. So it looks like we've got an unpause happening. Visage was lagging out for a bit. He had a spike of about 500. It does happen sometimes in these games. But Purple is also taking a break. So it looks like game number 1 of SciCos up against Felffie and Friends. Game of pauses. But hopefully we'll have some great action happening. Lycanthrope's picked up his treads as well as Vladimir's offering. He's in this great position to go for any Roshan kills. Choosing to max out Howl as a second ability. It is a great team build this, just because Howl gives you at level 3, it's giving all of his teammates, I believe, 40 damage right now. And so that's a decent amount of DPS you're providing to the rest of your team. At level 4, if you get that quickly, that's a level 1 Chilling Touch you're providing globally to your entire team without the negative attack speed debuff that Chilling Touch has. So actually quite a significant ability if you get in the early stages of the game. Interesting that he didn't go for a point up in Feral Impulse, just because it usually is a good pickup as it significantly increases his DPS. It's one of the best steroid abilities in the game because at level 4, 30% attack speed and 30% base damage. And we've got the game happens, resumes with Nyx Assassin rotating over bot. We've got another rotation from the Timbersaw. Sentry Ward immediately placed. Visage Familiars are scouting it out. And Pounce lands on Mirana. Looks like she's going to take a fall. Very sloppy plays coming up from Mirana. She could have leaped out. Visage actually hanging around. Looks like he might eat a Pounce as well. Never mind. Disrupt. Glimpse Hand sends him back. Chakram, he's still pinned in place though. And Nyx Assassin just picked up Vendetta, pops it, and gets 1 kill.
Fortified. Booyah.
Stabbing Visage in the
Slark
face.
against Potom. Great matchup.
Yeah, bit unfortunate. A few misplays coming up from Felffie and Friends, and Mirana should have leaped out the instant he saw the
Dire's bottom
Slark moving
tower
towards
is
her.
under attack.
And that could potentially be a 3-tier 1 tower, but while that's happening, Lycanthrope says, "What's up, bitch? I'm gonna take your towers." It's the reason why he's such a pain in the ass to play against, is the instant you leave him alone, he pushes faster than Ace's Prophet. He has a lot stronger solo and ganking potential. And he actually can transition to a carry in the later stage of the game. Looks like the tier 1 mid is going to be denied. So great plays coming out from Play Laugh Grow, recognizing that his teammates weren't able to accomplish anything in the bottom lane, so immediately going for the trade. Especially in the competitive scene, you always want to make sure that if you give something away, you're trading something for it. You never want to give anything away for free. Illusion Rune going to get picked up by the Mirana. Hasn't been all too effective despite having a great offlane. Looks like she's going for the Yasha as her first big item. Could be going for the Diffusal Blade as well. Arrow flies out, actually misses, but Grave Chill up on Nyx Assassin. He pops his Carapace, stuns up everybody. Felffie's Friend takes a lot of damage, drops that Static Storm. Soul Assumption gets the kill. Mirana might actually get frozen by the Cold Feet. Yeah, she's frozen. Chakram's taking her down, but they're all invisible with that Moonlight Shadow. Soul Assumption as well as Grave Chill up on the Timbersaw. He's complete, almost at the mana now. Back in the way, Kinetic Field defensively used. Another Soul Assumption flying out. Felffie's Friend takes the fall of that Timber Chain. That's the power of the Timbersaw coming out. And it looks like he's going to live. Mirana forced to back away.
Slark's coming in.
Slark's coming in. Play Laugh Grow has no mana. He's running the hell away, but Slark's going to land an easy pounce. Visage, I don't know what the hell he's doing. He's TPing, but he takes a pounce to the face. Bit slow reaction there. Maybe he was too busy microing his familiars. Play Laugh Grow, he's going to eat another pounce. Oh, he misses. Play Laugh Grow jukes a hazard, but the Chakram and the Timber Chain with the Whirling Death. You can't juke through trees when the Timbersaw's around. Great fight coming out from Team SciCos. Felffie's Friend TP's in, but alone there's nothing he can do. While that's happening, Lycanthrope continuing to push the top lane. Recognizes his teammates losing the fight over bot. There's not so much he can do. So the only thing he can do in that case is just to take that tower. He's actually holding onto his gold, choosing not to go for the Medallion of Courage. I guess the Visage is going to be picking that up for him. So with the amount of gold he's saving, probably will be going for that Necrophos.
That's not good for the Radiant.
And you just see that tower melt. Howl on Wolves. And Visage actually gets a kill over on Slark. Wow.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
3,000 gold on the
Dire structures are fortified, just like me. Radiant's top tower
Yeah,
has
I
fallen.
don't think he will.
Taking a lot of damage right now from the Timbersaw.
Dire's
Doesn't have enough
bottom
mana
tower
for
has been
Shapeshift.
denied.
That's
It
always
never saw
something you
it
have to keep
coming.
in mind when you're playing a Lycan. You can go balls to the wall and push down towers, but you have to have Shapeshift up, because otherwise Timbersaw comes at you and he cuts you in half. All in all, not a pretty even exchange. It's both one of their cores going down for both sides, as well as the tower being denied. Gives a lot more map control over to the Lycan, because now he can start pressuring in tier 3, especially with the tier 1 mid being going down as well. And great plays coming out from SciCos. They're grouping up and going for these big engagements now. Brave Shield flies out. Aaron misses. Bird drop and Soul Assumption to seal the deal. Visage is so goddamn powerful when he has that level 4 Soul Assumption, especially with Arcane Boots, because every 4 seconds he can throw that out at you. Does so much damage. It's effectively a free level 1 Dagon.
The 4K gold lead is pretty significant at this stage.
Yeah, definitely. 4K lead in favor of Felffie and Friends. Looks like Dragon Knight's going for the BKB rush once again, so he wants to go in for those early group pushes. EXP is actually completely stabilized, so that's in the fact that they were able to get a lot of kills and turn these fights around. Lycanthrope almost has his level 1 Necrobook. Would like to see a Roshan attempt coming out from them, but I guess without the mech and with that Necrophos being so fast, they definitely are pretty wary. Necrophos would like to see him go for treads this game just to make him a bit tankier. Choosing to max out Heartstopper Aura over Sadist, I really don't agree with this build, as Heartstopper Aura is probably the worst scaling ability for Necrophos. Sadist is much more powerful, especially in the mid game, as not only does it help you flash farm, it also helps you push and fight. Having that extra regeneration coming up from a Reaper's Scythe kill means if you get off 1-2 more Death Pulses, can turn the tides of a fight. Visage Familiar is being a bit cheeky. Slark pounces, he wants to get one, he's going to stab one down. Visage does have his Familiars off cooldown though. Looks like he's going for the Aghanim Scepter rush, so no Medallion of Courage being picked up by any other players. It is going to make Roshan attempts pretty difficult. Disruptor going for the 4-star. Good pickup, would like to see a mechanism built on one of them, perhaps the Visage, but he's going for that greedy Aghanim Scepter build. Next Assassin eats the Grave Shield and a few right clicks, but with one Familiar there's not all too much you can do. Invisible Wolves start right clicking down Ancient Apparition, doing so much damage, he's actually driving him back. And they immediately run away. Guerrilla Warfare coming out from him. Glimpse! Glimpse is back Slark, never mind, he went for a bit of a kill attempt.
Insane plays is by Felffie not getting a mech.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
They're still somehow able to like win these fights or at least break even, considering the fact that they don't have a mech while you're up against a Necrophos with a mech. And level 4 deathballs. Timbersaw's glimpse back in, called out of position, but without that static storm to lock in place. Static storm drops, Nyx assassin now silenced. He runs in, pops a vendetta, but he can't do anything out now. Soul Assumption flies out, shapeshift popping on Lycan. Very messy fight. Level 1 Necrobook, arrow hits, but he's carapaces right before he gets hit. Level 2 EDF, Dragon Tail flies out. Nyx assassin takes a fall with the Starstorm. Felffie's chasing down Ancient Apparition. He debuffs the Cold Feet, dodges the pounce. Slark turns around, starts stabbing Mirana. Mirana leaps down to the high ground, and to the low ground from the high ground. Level 2 EDF, glimpse back on Slark. Shadow Dance is just being wasted. He pounces in Dark Packs, but with no mana. Eats the level 2 Dragon Tail to the face. Is being hit up with the Thunderstrike and the Breathe Fire. Soul Assumption flies out, but Playlaugh Grow seals the deal with the Fire Breath. I am astounded. SciCos actually lost that fight so badly. They had the mech up, they had the Necrolite hanging around.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. That's not gonna hold.
Really assisted him.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Yeah, and you're also seeing the power of not having any points up
The Radiant should really
in the
do
hard
something
top
about
in the
that middle
sadist.
tower.
He wasn't able to sustain his death pulses, as well as the fact that Disruptor is actually able to get
Radiant's
2
middle
glimpses off in
tower
that fight.
is normal.
Really helped finish off any stragglers. Kind of interesting how he didn't go for the Kinetic Field Static Storm when he glimpsed back the Timbersaw. Did drag out the fight a bit longer than it could. Timbersaw actually survived because of that. He's actually almost got his Bloodstone, but BKB already picked up on Dragon Knight, so he's got a fresh 10-second BKB up on him. Maxed out Dragon's Blood. He's ready to take fights and break down your towers.
I'd really like to see Felffie and Friends running a Roche attempt
Dire's
immediately.
top tower is under attack.
Yeah, when you have the
That's
momentum
not
against a team like the Radiant side do, you want to take Roshan as soon as possible, just because it ensures that you win the next fight. Lycanthrope wouldn't Aegis the Immortal is pretty much a one deal for you. You can run in, tank all those spells. When he dies, he comes back to life, pops his ultimate. Necrobook, and with that Necrobook do a lot of damage. Chakram flies out, as well as the Welling Death. Playlaugh getting a lot of damage. He might actually go take a fall with that Reaper's Side. Static Storm Connect Field dropped on 2. 2001's going to take a fall. Fifth Dot is going to drop as well. Ice Blast flies out. Felffie runs away, but he's going to shatter from the Ancient Apparition Ice Blast. Soul Assumption flies out, and with the one more Dragon Tail as well as the Glimpse, they're able to bring down Timbersaw. He almost actually gets away. Corvette hangs around. Very late mech pop from him. He's out of mana now. He's going to take a fall. Eats a Dragon Breathe Fire to the face. Millions are beating him down. And with one more right click, he actually pops himself.
The Dire's bottom tower
Necrobook minions are chasing him down as well as Felffie's friends. He wants to get one more right click in. And he gets that kill. While that's happening, Ancient Apparition takes a fall with Dragon Knight being able to beat him down. Very, very ugly fight coming up from SciCos. Very late mech pop. You saw Necrophos didn't actually have enough mana to pull off all of his spells, even though he got that kill with the Reaper Scythe. If he had a maxed out Sadist, that would have been 2 extra pulses he could have gotten off in that fight. Could have completely turned it around. In exchange, they trade 4 for 1. Haster in the bottom lane. Dragon Knight's going to pick that up. Gives his bottle charges over to Visage just to heal him up. And Lycanthrope's respawn, so it looks like they're going to go for a Roshan attempt.
Nice chase by the Slark here. He knows that he's out of mana.
Great plays happening in the top lane. Mirana looks like he's going to take a fall. There's no way you can be in it. Rotation coming out immediately, and he backs away. He doesn't want to risk it for the biscuit. Mirana with that, going for the Manta as a first big item. Ice Blast hits. Felffie's friend's actually very low. If Timbersaw to come in right now, he can instantly kill him. But Felffie can take out Roshan. What are your thoughts on Mirana rushing for Manta Style as a first big item?
Impressive.
What was that, bro?
What are your thoughts on Mirana going for that Manta Style as a first big item?
The greed is good. I would have liked to have seen an Orchid, to be honest.
Yeah, Orchid Malevolence is a fantastic pickup against Slark. Visage gets caught out with the Slark, and he's going to take a fall. There's no way he's going to survive. Tried to deny himself to the neutrals. Great aggressive ward placed there by supports over on the Radiant side. Woof actually tanks an arrow to the face for Slark. Slark turns around, pops that Dark Pact, immediately pounces in. But both of his abilities miss, so he wisely backs away. That ward being placed there over for SciCos gives a lot of vision over to the jungle. It's unlikely to be de-warded, and it gives Slark that opportunity since he knows Lycanthrope will be jungling. Or perhaps the Visage could be jungling just to get a bit of gold. Can pick him off while that's happening. Lycan's able to take a free tier 1 tower bot. That deathball is starting to get together with level 2 Necronomicon as well as the Aegis the Immortal. They need to group up and try to take another tier 2 tower. They've only got one tier 2 tower left over the bottom lane. Vendetta pop for next assassin. He's just going to wait for one of them to move a little bit out of position or maybe go for that double impale. We see he's choosing the max out Carapace, a very standard build for him. Felffie's friend actually moving a bit too far forward. Next assassin backs away.
Yeah, we're about to see the level 3 Necrobook, and Felffie and Friends have just crossed the 10.
Fantastic arrow. Heads over in Timbersaw, but they can't engage on this. Necrobook minions... Sorry, the Visage minions come in. Slark actually misses his pounce. Dust is popped on Mirana, so they were prepared. Mantis Style just picked up on Mirana. And the Familiar is going to take a fall to Necrophos. Never mind, he instantly summons them. Yeah, that's an excellent disengage. Haste run up on Dragon Knight, so he could perhaps be looking to go in for a re-engagement. The issue with Mantis Style over in Mirana is she doesn't hit hard enough to really justify it as her first big item. Damage on him. Glimpse over in Timbersaw in tower range. He immediately starts to TP home. Starstorm, but there's not enough damage. Never mind, Visage Familiar, as well as the Soul Assumption says, nope. Death Pulse flies out, hits floor. Shapeshift popped. Ancient Apparition, Ice Blast has hit a lot of them, so they do have that Shadow debuff on them. Static Storm and Kinetic Field catches out Ancient Apparition. He takes the fall. He's ripped in half. Necrolite out of mana once again. Takes a fall. Felffie bites through him. Slark gets a kill over in the next assassin. What's happening? Glimpses back to Slark. Slark is running for his life. Doesn't have that Shadow Dance. He used it early in that fight. He doesn't actually kill anyone. So that's a 4 for none. Fantastic play coming up from Felffie and Friends. Really showing off the superior discipline and coordination. And that's showing you why you need that maxed out status once you start these engagements. Necrophos ran out of mana. Necrophos without mana is just a glorified range creep. Slark running away instantly pops his Dark Pact, anticipating any disables coming out. And he just TP's home. Good plays coming up from him.
Bottom tower is under attack.
While that's happening, you see Felffie hang around the middle lane. His Necrobook minions are on cooldown. He's got level 3 Necrobook flying out to him right now.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
So wouldn't Necro 3, we might see something like a BKB picked up on him. Or he could even just go for a straight Assault Cuirass. Give him a lot more pushing power. Lycan's one of those carry heroes that doesn't actually have to be in the thick of it himself. His minions do more damage than he does. So long as he's around to provide that aura and to provide the unit walking and haste with the shapeshift. Over in the bottom lane, engagement's happening. BKB popped over on Dragon Knight. Vendetta hits Visage and he takes a fall. Felffie instantly drops. Playloft Grow at half HP. Timbersaw's chasing him around. Felffie actually immediately turns around, pops his all, pops the Necrobooks, gets a kill over in the Dragon Knight. Timbersaw in the meanwhile with that Whirling Death. Necrophos out of mana. It looks like he's going to take a fall to the Necrobook minions as well as the Wolves. Felffie's got out of position though, so he's going to take a fall with that pounce to lock him in place. Familiar might actually take a fall as well. It's eating a lot of right clicks from the Ancient Apparition. One more, never mind. But while that's happening, top lane, Mirana doing a bit of split push. That's one of the reasons why the Mantis Styles picked them the competitive scene from Mirana, is when she gets a free chance, she can always go in for that split push. Ancient Apparition taking a lot of damage. Might actually take a fall with the Necrobook 3 range creep. Never mind, Mana Burn is on cooldown. But he might actually take a fall there. One more right click from the Familiar. He's saying, please, somebody help me. And Lycan gets a kill, he's dead. That's the power of the Necrobook 3. Just gonna do a quick golden EXP check. 10,000 EXP lead in favor of Felffie and Friends. In terms of gold, 12,000. Was a bit of a dip with the 2 kills that they were able to secure on both of the cores. Mirana, the other core, was able to survive since she wasn't present in the fight. But she's going for a very greedy build. With that Mantis Style, now Mirana just has to go for a damage item. Mirana is a pretty good DPSer, but the issue with her is as a hard carry or as a DPS source is you have to go for first the Mantis Style and then your next big damage item. That's why Desolator is such a good pickup on Mirana, because it means you don't have to go for the Mantis Style. You just build the Desolator and use that as your DPS source. As well as the Phase drums Yasha into Maelstrom. That's another pretty common build. Gives her a lot of everything she needs. Strong mid-game presence. The lightning procs from the Maelstrom turn to be quite effective, especially considering the fact that Mirana gets a lot of free pot shots in on heroes just because of her high engagement range. Bit of warding and dewarding happening from Nyx Assassin. Force to pop Vendetta. Wards are instantly dewarded by the Wolves. Arrow flies out, just providing a bit of reconnaissance, but the Ice Blast is returned. Ice Blast misses on everything, but does clip all 3 of the Familiars. Aghanim Scepter was picked up on Visage. Road to 2.5k MMR. Hasn't had the most fantastic Visage micro, but has been doing a lot of work for his team by providing those soul assumptions.
Yeah, 26 minutes for a Visage Aghanims, that is very intimidating.
Yeah, and it looks like both support players for Felffie and Friends not going for a mech, going for greedy builds. Disruptor going for an Aghanim Scepter. Incredibly powerful item on him. It actually disables item usage, and since Static Storm has a 0 cast point, use it on people similar to a Hex, prevent their carries from popping BKB, and you can lock them in place. Necrophos picked up a Drum of Endurance, so he's trying to tank up. Perhaps something like a Blade Mail wouldn't be a terrible pickup on him, although I guess with the Dragon Knight BKB, and Lycan most likely building towards one, a lot of that damage is probably going to be mitigated. Yeah, Lycanthrope going for that BKB for the look of it with that Ogre's Club. Heaven's Halberd is a not too bad pickup as well, but the only real right clicker they have to worry about is the Slark, and he could purge it off with Dark Pact. Slark looks like he's going for the S and Y, or maybe he's building towards a BKB. Would prefer to see him go for that BKB, as it enables him to stay in these fights, stick around, do a lot more damage. That value Yasha makes him so good at chasing. But Vendetta, Nyx Assassin scanning around. Until he gets a Blink Dagger, the Radiant side really don't have all too much initiation, as the Dire side has been very vigilant with their Sentry Wards. Arrow flies out, looks like it might actually cop him in the face, never mind, Nyx Assassin wisely backs away. Double damage rune over spawning in the top. Familiar's hanging around, doing a lot of damage. Glimpse back, as well as the Grave Chill. Carapace is popped, and he takes a fall with that Thunderstrike hitting him, as well as the double Starstorm. Great plays coming out from Felffie and Friends, punishing that Nyx Assassin. While that's happening, Felffie actually called out by the Timbersaw, but he's got Shapeshift. Arrow flies out, actually catches Timbersaw in the face. He's eating the Necro 3 Mana Burn while it's happening. You see his Mana Pool drop. He takes a fall immediately. Bloodstone hasn't been all too effective of a pickup for him. Grave Chill, as well as the Glimpse. Visage instantly gets a kill on the Ancient Apparition. 3 Familiars do so much DPS, especially if you're a hero with low armor like that Ancient Apparition. Necrophos and Slark nowhere in that fight, so Felffie and Friends take 3 kills for free, and they're going to be start pushing down the Tier 3 tower.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Run, little bottom tower, run!
With the Mantis Style, as well as the Necrobook minions. Necrobook minions about to expire, but you still have the Wolves, you still have the Howl. That's a lot of damage going down the Tier 3 tower. With that double damage of Dragon Knight, it could actually be a Rex. There's no real way the Radiant side can defend this. Great bird drop, catches out 3. Ice Blast flies out. Looks like it's a clip on the Mirana. BKB instantly pops the Dragon Knight. He's ready to fight. Reaper's Scythe fails to kill Felffie. Static Storm is being dropped. That's one of the issues with the Reaper's Scythe. You can't really use it to go for a kill unless their HP pool is low enough. With that Soul Assumption, they secure a kill over the Necrophos. And the mid-melee Rex takes a fall. Dragon Knight running away. Vendetta, Nyx Assassin's gonna catch him out. Can he land the Impale? Impale actually misses. Playlife Growth to Chakram to the face. Mana Burn, he's gonna take a fall with the Timbersaw hanging around. Never mind, he actually jumps to the wrong tree. Ancient Apparition gets the kill with the dot coming out from the Cold Feet. Well, that happens. Road to 2.5k MMR. Actually caught out of position by the Slark. He's got that triple bird stomp. Didn't stagger them, so did stomp them instantly. Doesn't buy him enough time. Disruptor comes in, glimpses Slark away, saving his life. Never mind, the Familiars might actually go for a kill. They switch target at the wrong time, but Disruptor's able to seal the deal with the Thunderstrike.
Top tower is under attack.
So they were able to get 2 kills off the back of that mid-Rax, but when you're 1 Rax down against a Lycanthrope, the game gets that much more difficult.
Oh, that's got to hurt.
Yeah, the amount of summon that the Dire have in this game is just unstoppable by their supports.
You see, Mirana's almost got a Desolator. That makes it hit like an absolute truck. So Mirana has 600 range, as well as the Leap and Phase Boots to help her reposition herself. She's got excellent time on target, so even though she doesn't hit all too hard,
is under attack.
with the Desolator, it nullifies her biggest weakness, which is just that low damage.
Top tower has been denied.
Also means that Lycanthrope hits harder and pushes faster. Desolator now works on buildings. And Roshan's about to respawn in about a minute, so the Dire side are going to patiently hang back, wait for Roshan to spawn, go for that Roshan, then seal the deal by pushing down either the bot or the top, as the Radiant side are losing control of the game. No vision outside of that one defensive ward placed in the high ground, but that's more of an aggressive ganking ward placement for the Dire side, so it's not the best defensive ward you could drop when you're the Radiant. 10,000 EXP lead in favor of Felffie and Friends, and 15,000 gold lead.
Illusion!
SciCos were doing well in the early to mid stages of the game, but now that the late game is starting to kick in, they are starting to fall apart. The gold and the EXP difference is starting to show. Ancient Apparition, especially with only 1 point up in that Ice Blast, isn't able to do enough in these fights. Necrophos' Reaper Scythe hasn't been all too effective. He's level 11, and this is one of your cores. He should be level 14 by now. He needs a lot more farm.
Yeah, definitely. Running a safe lane Necro, you just bank on him getting a lot of farm.
Especially when you have 2 abilities that make it so easy to flash farm. You have Death Pulse, which has a low cooldown, as well as the Sadistor. I would have liked to see the other support players maybe even stacking camps for him, as Necrophos can clear camps like no one else. Roshan's about to respawn. Felffie and Friends are hanging around. Felffie just right-clicking down some creeps. He's picked up a fresh 10-second BKB, so he's itching to get into fights. That's instantly pinged out by Felffie's friend. Dragon Knight looks like he's going for the Assault Cuirass. Very good pickup on Dragon Knight, just because the thing he lacks isn't so much damage, just because he outputs a lot of damage with his ultimate as well as his Breathe Fire. It's the fact that he doesn't have attack speed, and the armor and negative armor is always a good pickup for him. Assault Cuirass is one of those items, it's like the Red Queen's hypothesis. When the opposing team picks it up, you want to pick one up as well to nullify the negative armor that you lose. Or at least the Vladimir's offering, as Vladimir's offering now provides plus 5 armor and stacks with Assault Cuirass. And so that's plus 10 armor going to every member of the Dire side when they're both within the Assault Cuirass and the Vladimir's offering aura. 2 huge item pickups for the Radiant side. Blade Mail picked up on Timbersaw, as well as the Blink Dagger and the Nyx Assassin. Blink Dagger is probably going to be more important, as the Blade Mail damage is going to be mostly nullified by the BKBs coming out from Felffie and Friends. But Slark just picked up a fresh 10-second BKB. So they're in a pretty good position now to try to take fights.
I really like the Timbersaw Blade Mail pickup.
I don't know, because considering the fact that the majority of damage that he's tanking is from either the Lycan or from the Dragon Knight, who have BKBs, I guess it scares off the rest of his team. Vendetta Nyx Assassin hanging around, no Sentry Ward placed by the Dire side, so it looks like we get 3 initiation. He could actually get a 3-4-man Impale if he comes in from the back end right now. Instantly drop a Sentry Ward as they push forward, so if Nyx Assassin goes through it, Timbersaw eats an arrow to the face. I don't think it's going to be enough to kill him, never mind, it could be with that, never mind. Ancient Apparition, Ice Blast flies out, Mechanism, Felffie's able to rip him in half with the right clicks. Mirana takes a fall in the back end. Play Love, Grow actually caught out position, wasn't able to pop his BKB, he has level 3 EDF though, and Nyx Assassin stunned and glimpse back. He takes a fall with Lycanthrope, getting that one last right click in. Felffie was just able to dive into the base of the Radiant side, scare away the other players. They were too afraid to deal with the big bad wolf and shapeshift form as well as that BKB. He's got Aegis the Immortal, he ain't afraid of no ghost. Shapeshift's actually about to go off cooldown. That's one of the big factors to deal with a level 3 shapeshift, as the cooldown is only 40 seconds, it's up for 18 seconds, as that only leaves you a 22-second window where it's not up. Bit of slow siege coming out with the minions, the Necrophos, as well as the Visage Familiars. Play Love, Grow hanging around, scaring people off. Ancient Apparition, Ice Blast flies it again, just hits Visage, clips Play Love, Grow. Slark is actually able to deny the tower, so good plays coming up from him, but they're pressuring the Tier 3 racks and bottom lane. I don't think the Radiant can really defend this, especially with the Necrophos being so on the farm, actually out of mana. That's the reason why I say this is so goddamn effective. Necrophos without mana is a sad, sad poke. Chakram flies out, blinking from the Nyx Assassin, glimpses back to Slark, instantly preventing that initiation. Felffie takes a fall, but with Aegis the Immortal, he's going to be right back in 3 seconds. This forces Felffie and Friends to fight. Shapeshift comes out, stun over on the Necrophos, he pops mech, BKB up on Felffie, he's going to take a fall with the Visage Familiars as well as the Lycanthrope. While that's happening in the back end, we're at 2.5 came out, caught out by both Slark as well as the Nyx Assassin. Carapace stuns out Felffie's friend and went in for one more right click. Slark's Shadow Dance just wore off, Felffie's friend might take a fall, never mind, he forced up himself to the low ground. Felffie's running like hell, but with Timbersaw on his back end, as well as the Ancient Apparition right clicks, that Chakram, never mind, it misses, but with the Timber Chain coming off cooldown, he seals the deal. While that's happening, Slark chasing out Felffie. Felffie actually turns around with the Familiars, Necrophos minions, and the Wolves is actually able to do a surprising amount of damage. Familiars might be able to seal the deal. Slark isn't able to get that Showdown's regeneration. Never mind, Timbersaw's there, drives back the Familiars, drives back the Wolves. And 4-star picked up on Ancient Apparition. Thoughts on that fight, Jesse?
I think Felffie and Friends should have been up the hill the whole time with their minions while Timbersaw was dead. But Slark really played that well. He got enough agility from hitting and made it work for him.
Yeah, very sloppy plays coming out from Felffie and Friends. Surprised by the defensive capability of Team SciCos. You saw Necrophos, the power of the constant heals he was able to throw out. As they weren't able to bring him down for a very long time, they switched targets, Lycan started hitting him, switched and turned around and started hitting him. Gave him time to get off that Popper's mech as well as that extra death pulse. That's that power that, I guess, attrition kind of team fight that you're talking about. Necrophos always puts you in a bad situation. If you focus him, the rest of your team's beating on you. If you don't focus him, he's keeping the rest of his team alive, as well as damaging the rest of your team.
Yeah,
good plays.
A number of questionable plays to start that fight, though. Timbersaw getting caught by an arrow was foolish, and then Nyx, as well as that, got picked pretty early. Yeah,
but Felffie and Friends, they did stick around. They overstayed their welcome. SciCos were to make him pay for it. And we could potentially be seeing the signs of a turnaround. SciCos climbing Mount Everest, 10,000 gold beads now, down from 14,000 for EXP in terms of gold, 20,000 moving towards 16,000. So they're slowly but surely trying to hold on to their base. Looks like Necrophos is going for a BKB, fantastic pickup on him. If you can't lock him down, he's constantly able to get those heals off. He's one of those heroes that you think it's a bit strange for him to go to BKB, similar to the Death Prophet, but the rationale is he provides so much damage and utility to the rest of your team that you don't want him to get locked down. So in that sense, it's almost akin to an Invoker BKB pickup. Just ensures he can always get his spells off. But Mirana has phenomenal farm. She's dope.
He is about to get his AC, which is really gonna hurt.
Oh god, yeah, that's the point where the Dire Star hit critical mass. The +10 armor from the Vladimirs as well as the Assault Cuirass makes their team so tanky, especially against the Slark, who just has to rely on right-clicking them down.
What's that? Oh, no, I'll eventually go buy your tank one day though. Tomorrow.
Wolves doing a bit of scouting. Good play coming out from Lycan. You have to keep in mind the Wolves are invisible until they attack. And so unless they have Sentries or Gem, you actually can get a lot of free reconnaissance happening. A good tip with the Lycanthrope Wolves is if you M-click an enemy hero, they'll follow them without attacking them. And so it's cheap, easy micro.
Interesting, Slark goes for the Basher.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. What item would you like to see Slark pick up instead?
Yeah, it was really just a toss-up between the Basher and the Heaven's Halberd, in my opinion.
The issue with the Heaven's Halberd, though, is it doesn't really give him attack speed when he's kind of locked down. I guess the Greater Maim is nice, but the Basher, it does give him the ability to go 1v1 against the carries. Just because against a triple core liner, if you disarm one of the carries, the other two will just beat you down. And when your Slark's your primary DPSer, you really want that Abyssal Blade on him. Would have perhaps liked to see a Skadi, but I guess it would have been too slow before you picked it up, so Cranium Basher makes it good.
Efficient at this stage.
Yeah.
Get it.
Skadi is definitely one of those items you want to go for as soon as you can. That value Yasha and the BKB doing a lot of work for Slark. He has been keeping his team in the game. Felffie and Friends grouping up for another push.
Yeah, I think the siege with these summons is really going to make it quite difficult.
Arrow flies uphill, almost hits Timbersaw. Never mind, he's learned his lesson. Slark immediately turns around, starts beating on the familiars. Bit of a panic micro coming out from them as he drops all 3 birds, but he has to resummon. And you see the Mirana illusions doing so much damage. Next Assassin jumps in, EDF 3 pops. Vendetta, but he's glimpsed right back, eats the damage from the free fire as well to this Familiars. Familiars might actually take a fall. Never mind, it instantly resummon. Bit of a waste of a resummon considering they won't actually take any damage. But while that's happening, Felffie in the top lane, he's taking the other base. This is that split push power coming out. Dragon Tail catches out the Timbersaw, BKB is popped, Soul Assumption flies out, Blade Mail's popped, but could be too little too late, especially with the BKBs up. Static Storm drives from away, glimpses back the Ancient Apparition, he's caught in a bad place, takes the fall with all the damage coming out. Slark bounces in, catches out the Dragon Knight. Reaper Side doesn't seal the deal, however. BKB and Shadowlands both popped, bit of a waste of, you want to pop one or the other. Dragon Knight's going to take a fall though, however, the Slark, unless they're able to bring him down, never mind. Familiars breed fight and the Soul Assumption, and GG's called. 40 minutes and 25 seconds into the game. Felffie and Friends take a very hard-fought game. Team SciCos, they fought hard, they fought long, but eventually the deathball push coming up from them was too much to bear. Any final thoughts on the game, Jesse?
Yeah, the lack of counter push really lost it for them then, I think. And a few misplays early on. Yeah,
Necrophos failing to optimize the unconventional hero pick really did cost them the game. They could have gone perhaps for even something like a Bristleback as their solo hero, get a lot of farm up on him, or they could have switched up their lanes, had Nyx Assassins their off lane, a Timbersaw mid, and that Slark tri lane, with another aggressive hero like a Venomancer or a Vengeful Spirit. But nonetheless, we're just going to take a
game. I'd really like to see the Visage banned.
Yeah, definitely. So we're just going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with game number 2. Stay tuned.